The story begins in a neighborhood where security is taken to the extreme. Every house is surrounded by fences and surveillance cameras are installed everywhere. This clearly shows that thefts must be common in this area. You might think that with such high alert security, thieves would be too scared to even try, worried about getting caught. But surprisingly, that's not the case. We see a man named Cairo, a thief, carefully observing a parked 4x4 car. Seizing the opportunity, he skillfully unlocks the door and slips inside. Once inside, he immediately removes the stereo system. It becomes clear that he isn't here to steal the car itself, but only its stereo. After finishing his work, he deliberately relieves himself on the back seat, showing complete fearlessness toward both the car's owner and the police. When he tries to leave, however, the door doesn't open. He attempts every exit, but all the doors are locked. Growing desperate, he pulls out a stool from his bag and tries to smash the window. But the glass doesn't break, it's bulletproof. Frustrated, he then tries to force the door open, but instead of escaping, he ends up injuring himself. He struggles from every angle, trying to break free, but the car is built so strong that escaping seems impossible. Finally, in desperation, he fires a shot at the window. The bulletproof glass deflects the bullet, and it ricochets back into his leg. Blood starts pouring from the wound, and to stop it, he quickly removes his t-shirt and ties it around his leg. He then attempts to call his wife, but right at that moment, his phone battery dies. Now he is completely trapped inside the car. Earlier, he wasn't taking the situation seriously, but things have turned upside down. What once seemed like a simple theft has now become a terrifying and extremely difficult situation. Just then, a woman approaches the car and begins fixing her makeup in the reflection of the window. Cairo wants to ask her for help, but he cannot, because the car windows are tinted so dark that no one outside can see inside. He bangs on the glass, hoping she might notice, but it's useless. Frustrated, he sits back down and tries to think calmly about what he should do next. Time passes, night turns into morning, yet he still cannot come up with any solution. What's even more surprising is that the car's owner has not shown up at all, as if he doesn't care about his vehicle. Inside, Cairo has no food, no water, and on top of that, he is already injured from the bullet wound. He realizes he must act quickly, or this car will become his grave. To distract himself, he reattaches the stereo system and plays music, hoping to relax. As the song plays, he once again attempts to break the door open. Suddenly, the car receives a call. Cairo answers, and it turns out to be the owner, Michael, a doctor by profession. Michael calmly explains that he knows Cairo is trapped inside his car, and he also knows exactly why he came there. But Michael doesn't seem worried about the car itself, because it has already been broken into 28 times before. Michael reveals that the car has a special security system, which Cairo accidentally activated while removing the stereo. Now the vehicle is completely locked with polarized, bulletproof, and soundproof windows. That means even if Cairo screams for help, no one outside will ever hear him. Michael also mentions that he can control the car remotely through his phone. Hearing this, Cairo begins shouting angrily at him, but that only makes things worse. Michael disconnects the call and immediately turns on the car's air conditioning at full power. The freezing cold begins to overwhelm Cairo. He quickly puts his t-shirt back on, ties a piece of his torn jeans around his wound, and desperately tries to protect himself from the icy air. But it's impossible. The car grows colder and colder, and we can see how severe the temperature has become by watching Cairo's trembling body. In reality, Michael is deliberately torturing him. After a long time, the air conditioning finally shuts off, and Cairo breathes a sigh of relief, grateful for even a brief moment of comfort. Michael calls again, this time asking Cairo a thought-provoking question. If his own son were caught stealing, what would he do? The tension rises because Michael knows Cairo actually has a son. Michael promises that if Cairo gives the right answer, he will reward him with water. Cairo responds that he would take his son to the police. But Michael immediately rejects this answer, saying it is wrong, because neither the police nor a judge can truly change him. Only Cairo himself can set an example strong enough to guide his son toward the right path. Michael's words carry weight, and we can clearly see the truth in them. Cairo, by his own actions, is setting a dangerous example for his child. From Michael's tone, it feels as though he is deeply frustrated with both criminals and the police system. And his frustration makes sense. After all, his car has been robbed 28 times before. We already saw at the beginning of the story how Cairo broke into the car without any fear of consequences. Since Cairo gave the wrong answer, he receives no water. Exhausted, he sits quietly, watching people outside as they walk by freely. Suddenly, a police car arrives. An officer steps out and carefully inspects the vehicle. Cairo's heart fills with hope. Maybe this officer will notice him and rescue him. But that hope is crushed when the officer simply issues a fine against the car for having tinted windows and no alarm, then leaves without suspecting anything unusual. Soon after, rain begins to pour outside. While the world outside is refreshed, Cairo is trapped inside, dying of thirst. Michael calls once more, this time demanding Cairo's full name and ID number. Cairo provides the details correctly, and in return, Michael allows water into the car. But it's not clean drinking water. It's the recycled water from the car's washing system. Cairo knows it could harm him, yet he has no choice. He drinks it anyway, because survival leaves him with no alternatives. And just like that, another day passes inside the car, with Cairo's suffering continuing. The next day, Michael calls again. Cairo tells him that he has been shot and now has a fever. He hopes that, since Michael is a doctor, this will finally convince him to help. But instead of offering medical assistance, Michael cruelly turns on the car's heater. Within minutes, Cairo's condition worsens, his body suffering even more from the unbearable heat. When the heater finally shuts off, Cairo desperately searches through the car's manual, hoping to find something useful. But the pages contain nothing that can help him. Starving and with no other option, he begins eating the paper itself. Of course, eating paper only makes him thirstier, and now his last option for water is something we can already imagine. As he struggles through this torment, another thief arrives, attempting to break into the same car. But unlike Cairo, this man's fate is different. People nearby catch him immediately, beat him, and hand him over to the police. Cairo, however, remains trapped inside, his luck far worse. This moment proves how right Michael was. Despite the neighborhood being filled with cameras and police patrolling constantly, thefts still happen in broad daylight. The real problem isn't the lack of surveillance. It lies somewhere deeper. The next day, Michael calls again. By now, Cairo's strength is almost gone, and he is ready to do anything to escape. Yet, no matter what he tries, the car refuses to let him out. Michael tells Cairo that he has visited his home and met his family, giving them money. He mocks Cairo, saying that his luck has truly run out. In a strangely cheerful mood, Michael even provides him with a hidden piece of chocolate inside the car. Cairo struggles to punch the car's interior, but his efforts are not strong enough to break free. At this point, we learn that Cairo is not just a thief. He has committed murders in the past. Despite his crimes, he has been roaming the streets freely, which explains why Michael refuses to let him go. Cairo is exactly the kind of man Michael has been waiting to confront. Later that night, Cairo repeatedly presses the start button out of boredom, and unexpectedly, the car engine roars to life. The vehicle is stuck in reverse gear, and it crashes violently. Cairo manages to crawl out of the wreckage and imagines himself entering a restaurant, eating to his heart's content, and then shooting a guard when asked to pay. But this entire sequence is nothing more than a dream. His mind is now filled with hallucinations. Michael calls again, and Cairo admits that he no longer wants to live. He even attempts suicide, but taking his own life proves harder than he thought. The shocking twist comes when Michael finally arrives in person. He confronts Cairo face to face, placing a gun before him. As they speak, Michael receives a call, and Cairo seizes the moment. He fires a shot and escapes from the car. This time, it is not a dream. He truly breaks free, but his body is too weak to run far. He fires his gun into the air, desperately hoping someone will come out to help him. Instead, Michael returns. The bullet had only grazed him, and now he drags Cairo back toward the car. A police officer arrives, but Michael refuses to release Cairo, insisting that this is a personal matter. Soon, a crowd gathers. Some people shout that Cairo should be freed, while others demand that he be killed. Even the police try to reason with Michael, reminding him that killing Cairo will change nothing. Michael knows the consequences, and finally, he lets Cairo go. But then, in a shocking act, Michael drives away in his car and deliberately blows himself up. The crowd is stunned, frozen in disbelief. Cairo is arrested by the police, but the next day, word spreads that he will soon be released. This reveals the tragic truth behind Michael's decision. He had been robbed 28 times, and when he finally caught a thief himself, people still blamed him, saying Cairo was just a human and should be spared. But what about the rights of those whose hard-earned possessions are stolen? Instead of sympathy for Michael, the crowd saw Cairo as the victim and Michael as the villain. To prove his point, Michael sacrificed himself, showing the world the harsh reality. His intention was never to kill Cairo. He wanted to teach him a lesson and hand him over to the police so that others would think twice before attempting theft again. But the situation spiraled out of control, costing Michael his life. And with this powerful and heartbreaking ending, the story concludes. If you enjoyed this explanation, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss an update.